Building a unique port design in Minecraft is not that easy, but I promise you that I can show you some tips and tricks for a remarkable Cyberpunk or Dark Future port. Hi, I'm Architect and welcome back to Neo Akito, the Cyberpunk style city I am building. Ports, especially the ones for containers, look quite similar around the world, so I could build a standard port and just make it look run down to get a cyberpunk feeling, right? Well, I think with some tools from the toolbox for a good apocalyptic cyberpunk world, we can make the port more interesting and unique. So let's start. We will use hypercapitalism, extreme poverty, high wealth inequality, high tech, and overpopulation / crampedness. The first we should think about is the placement, and here we can already use one of the tools that we got from the toolbox, and that is overpopulation / crampedness. While you obviously build a port at the seaside, you normally will give a large area to the port for storage. Like a really large area, seriously. But I recommend making the storage area smaller, forcing yourself to search for alternate ways of storage or ways to get the good faster out of the port. To solve this, you then use technology and actually the vertical space you have, so the airspace and the space underground, which will result in a more vertical design, something you most likely already want, because a vertical design is a feature that most cyberpunk or dark future dystopian worlds have. Before building the actual port, I added some length to the highway to get into connection distance. So the first thing of the port I actually built was the perimeter around the port to reduce the building area I have, and to set a first outline. The perimeter is actually heavily guarded by towers and drones and has a quite high perimeter wall with barbed wire on it. All this security is necessary because of the high poverty rate. Without the security, the port will get raided on a daily basis. I got that idea actually from reality. I heard news about people robbing trains in LA in the year 2021. Yeah, LA is the Wild West again. LA, my favorite real life dystopia. For the design of the automatic weapons and the drones, I got influenced by Sir Derpol, so after watching this video till the end, maybe check out his video, it's linked in the video description below. After building the perimeter, I started to build the Quayside area, which gives me another great outline I can orientate on while building. While I wanted to build interesting, you don't have to reinvent everything, so the Quayside and also some other parts are relatively standard for a port, and also for a port you would see nowadays. I use anvils as tracks for the port cranes, inspired by the train tracks that I already use in my city. For the port cranes, I actually also go for quite standard design, nothing really unique here. They're inspired by the real life counterparts that you see all over the world. Where they will unload is actually a little bit more interesting, because I go for a container pit design, where containers are stored in a pit that can be accessed from the top and from the bottom. The idea here is to use the underground for some loading operations, for example on the trains, and for further storage. Again, here going into a vertical design. In this container pit I also placed my first container design. I'm going for a 3x3 design that has a depth of 12 blocks, and here I try to replicate more or less a 40 feet high cube container. I use concrete in different colors for the containers. As a tip, don't build every single container yourself. Copy and paste, mix and match, and this way you reduce your workload massively. Because building hundreds of containers yourself, block by block, is not fun, trust me. And you will be really fast at these numbers of hundreds of containers that you have to build. There's obviously also a crane above the container pit for easy access from the top. With the first part of the container pit done, I started building the VCSLT, the Vertical Container Storage and Loading Tower. And that's the part of the port I really wanted to look cool and with which I wanted to solve some of the problems I stated earlier. It's basically a high bay warehouse for containers that has a loading area to load containers onto automated trucks and also has landing pads to load into hovercrafts. But before we continue, you all know what I am about to say if I show you this graph. So please consider subscribing to the channel. If you like the video so far, leave a like, and I am curious what unique and cool ideas you have for a port, so leave a comment and tell us. I wanted the tower to be somewhat see-through, so I go for open grid design, so you can see the containers that are in there. The tower has basically two sides, and for every side there are two of these sliders that move the containers up and down. Most of the cranes, these sliders, the trucks and many more things in the harbor will be automated. Automation in general is quite important for any industry that you want to place into a cyberpunk world. Industry not needing people anymore is a great explanation for mass unemployment, wealth inequality, poverty and a general disconnection between people and the economy. And that's why 98% of jobs in the harbor that I'm building will be fully automated. On the top I added some offices and a sign that signals that there's support, together with the company logo, and you may recognize the logo from somewhere. Here on the top are also the hovercraft landing pads, where containers can be picked up to be transported via air. And you can also enter the office area via these landing pads. After I was done building the tower, I added another container pit to the other side of the tower. Here again I placed some containers, and then I also did add another crane for the container pit. And added more port cranes. I had to modify some of the port cranes, so the land side facing crane boom would look like it was pulled up, so they would fit at the area where the VC SLT is. The last thing I did for this episode was to add road markings to the concrete areas. I used yellow as the color for them because it feels more industrial than white. As you may have already seen at the title, this was part 1 of building this port, because I definitely underestimated the time that it would take to build the whole port. You know, I always underestimate build time. So in the next part I will build a ship, container carrying hovercrafts, finish the highway connection, I will build some underground areas, and I will add more details and materials and lights. Yeah, definitely more lights, because lights will look good. So I will hope that you will also be there in the next part. Thanks for watching till the end. Consider subscribing and liking the video. See you next time in Neo Architect.